somewhere where they think they get the better offer. And, you know, like as a guy who's been a fan of NCAA sports since he was a teenager, basically, it always was so weighted against the players. Like the players had no power. And finally, it swayed back, and the players are wielding their power to the way that they can, which I can't blame them for because of the way it was for a long time. And I'm never going to fault anybody for trying to cut the best deal for themselves. So, like, there are some players who said no to the NCAA. But there have been others who've gone, and there's only, if you're in the middle of this, no matter what league you're in or what level you're at, there's only one thing you can do. And the thing that you can do is say, you got to look in the mirror every day and say, are we giving players the best opportunities to pick us? Now, you know, some of these teams have facilities in the NCAA that are better than any CHL facilities. Well, you have two choices there. You can either build new facilities or say, we can't compete with that, but we're going to find other ways to make you want to play for us. That's all you can do. Like you know, and I think what we're going to see, Kyle, is that this, like, the USHL is really worried. Like, there was a note that went out through the USHL from its commissioner, just saying, basically saying, we have to work, basically saying, we're really concerned about all the players we're losing to the CHL. We're going to have to work to prevent the destruction of our league. Like, they have the same concerns at the USHL level about the CHL that the CHL has about the NCAA. You can't stop it. Unless someone's changing a law here, which I don't see happening, you can't prevent it from occurring. The only thing you can do is look in the mirror every morning when you wake up and every night when you go to sleep and say, am I doing everything I can to have the best possible program and experience? And some teams are always going to have disadvantages compared to other teams. That's geography. That's like the tax argument that we're always having in the NHL, right? Like, there's going to be teams like London. There's going to be teams like the Quebec Ramparts. They're going to have advantages that other teams are not going to have, right? You can't beat that. There's only one thing you can do, and that is make sure that if a player walks away, that you can say to yourself, we did everything we could, and we got beat by a better offer. There's nothing else you can do right now. Nothing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I heard that as soon as, Red Deer was one example, as soon as their season was over, they started a complete overhaul of their facilities for the players because they thought we need to bring this up to a better standard. And I know, like, I saw Dan Neer, the commissioner of the WHL, like, he had some comments that got a bit of traction about just the schedule and the lifestyle of the NCAA. The more I've thought about this, Elliotte, it's just the feeling of, if you're the CHL, one of the three leagues there, if you're trying to compare yourself to the NCAA, like, you've lost, because you're never gonna, it's two completely different worlds, and that's okay. So I think, to your point, the mindset has to be, how do we set ourselves up the best to give the players that come to play in our league the best opportunity to develop, to learn, to grow as a person, all those things, and not so much focused on, well, we do it this way, even though they do it that way over there. The comparison aspect, I think, will get these other leagues nowhere in the grand scheme of things. It's all got to be internal in terms of figuring out how they best go about this new world.
And the CHL can still be a great league. Like, they're getting a lot of players who, before NCAA age, who are coming and playing there and very happy to play there. Like, I understand you're frustrated. You're losing the likes of McKenna. Like, that's a huge loss. It's incredibly disappointing.
Playing preseason games up north this year, like Medicine Hat, they're going to play games up there with that thought that it was going to be a grand homecoming for them, right? Like, it's
you just have to make the best of it. Kyle, sometimes you eat the bear and sometimes the bear eats you, and you just have to be prepared for both things. But it doesn't mean the CHL can't still be a great league for a lot of great players and send a lot of players to the NHL. But like, at the end of the day, for a long time, the players the hammer rested with the teams. Well, finally it swung with the other direction. You can't complain about that. You had it your way for a long time. Life never goes your way 100% of the time. You can't cry about it. You got to adjust to it.
Excellent. Okay, how about some news in Pittsburgh? I'm sure every now and then you're wondering, okay, Sidney Crosby, anything new there?
No, he's going to start the year with the Penguins. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We also got we got the preliminary media list, and it says Sidney Crosby Penguins. So that one was a sign to me that if anybody doubted that, he's not getting traded this summer. He's definitely not getting
for the media tour.
Summer.
You mean?
Yes, the media tour. Okay. And I'm still laughing at last year when we asked him, is your contract going to have an 87 in it? Little did we know it actually was going to be 8.7.
Yes.
He signed it 2 or 3 days later. Still laughing at that. People are always asking, are there any, trade talk this summer? Obviously, Pittsburgh's been around it. I don't think there's anything imminent there on any file, although it can always change with one phone call. It's summer. People are trying to relax a little bit, and I'm assuming that things are going to heat up later in the summer at some point in all these particular situations. The one thing I think that has been news in Pittsburgh a lot has been the possibility of the Ron Burkle, Mario Lemieux group, and whether or not they're going to come back and buy the Penguins. And I can understand why the Penguins fans would be excited about the possibility of Lemieux. He's a god there, and everything he touches turns to gold. But the only thing I've heard about that so far is that they're just, well below what Fenway would want to be the number. If you take a look at it, the Lightning just sold. I know the Penguins sold for 900, and the Lightning sold for around 1.8. I gotta think that that's where the Penguins would want to be, and I just, from what I understand, that bid is just not close to that at this point in time. So we'll see where else it goes. I mean, that's a story that probably doesn't go away for a while. Also with Pittsburgh, Nick Robertson. I had a couple people ask me about the possibility of Nick Robertson in Pittsburgh, just because obviously Kyle Dubas knows him. They got the arbitration settled on Saturday at $1.825 million. The Maple Leafs have to clear some bodies there. They've got a lot of them. I had one Columbus fan ask me if Chinnikov for Robertson made sense. I don't know. I think Toronto would have to do more to get that done. I definitely think that the Maple Leafs have work to do here, and I don't know what their timeline is, but nobody expects them not to do things before puck drops, that's for sure. In our last pod, Kyle, another player we talked about for Toronto was Jack Roslovic. He's still unsigned. I've heard there's still a few teams looking at him. And, he's the best available player remaining. And obviously he hasn't found anything he 100% likes. But there's definitely a few teams poking around there. I've heard 5 or 6. So he has to get to something he's comfortable with, and we know with Toronto, they're trying to move money around.
Okay, well, how about what's going on with Matthew Tkachuk, Elliotte? I mean, he's had a pretty damn good summer to this point.
Yes.
Got married, great day with the Stanley Cup for a second straight summer, but the health front, I mean, he revealed what he had been playing through and what kept him out in between the 4 nations.